Another thing I think is useful to be aware of is where MVVM came from. MVVM is really an evolution of other UI separation patterns. Way back in time, when dinosaurs roamed the Earth and the only computers were really mainframes with terminals, the model view controller pattern was first defined. Initially, it was about rendering a screen of information to the user, collecting some input from them, and rendering the next screen of information to them. But as a result of that request-response nature, it is still a good fit for the modern web, and it's used by platforms including ASP.NET MVC, Ruby on Rails, Angular, and others. One of the key distinctions between MVC and MVVM is that there is typically a decoupled lifetime between the controller and the view. A controller produces a view but may not stick around after that until a new request comes in from the user. In the mid-2000s, smart or rich desktop client applications were getting a lot of attention and growing in complexity, especially with enterprise applications. As a result, people started trying to apply separation patterns there, but because the client views were more stateful and stuck around in memory, and their supporting interaction logic needed to as well, the MVC pattern was not the perfect fit. What evolved was simply a nuance on the MVC pattern, which was called the model view presenter. The distinction of a presenter versus a controller was mostly that the lifetime of the presenter and the view were coupled, and they generally had a more ongoing conversation as the user interacted with the view, mostly in the form of method calls back and forth between the two parts. Finally, that led to the MVVM pattern, which was first defined in the early days of WPF by the Expression team at Microsoft. The main difference here is that we're still dealing with rich desktop client applications and views that stick around for longer interactions with the user. But now we have a platform with really rich data binding available. So MVVM was really a nuance on MVP, where the explicit method calls between the view and its counterpart were replaced with two-way data binding, flowing data and communications between the view and the view model.